Hello there, welcome to a new session, and in this session we are going to solve this problem based on this problem statement, and it is just a fill in the blank. We just need to write a single line of code by understanding this complete code. It is very interesting because for writing the single line of code we need to understand this complete code by drawing or by many things. So that's why it is very interesting. Let's start reading the problem statement. So given the following partial code, fill in the blank to complete the code necessary to insert node X in between the last two nodes. So it is talking about this X node and we need to insert it in the last two nodes or in between of the last two nodes. So for understanding this completely, we need to understand this visually. So let's see. Let me create a diagram for this complete code. So this is a class node, as you already know, and please try to understand this in context to a linked list. So a node, and inside a node data and next pointer is there, and in the next pointer we can store node type of value. So okay, so first line says that, or according to the first line, we have created an object of node class and we have initialized it with the default constructor of the node class. So a head object is created, and I'm just creating this diagram in such a way that it would be easier for you to understand. Basically all these things are done in addresses, but I'm just giving you the visual representation of this code. So a head object is created, and this head object will have this data, and currently it is null, and I am just giving next in this way, means the next node of this head. So next is null. Currently next is null, heads next is null. Now on the second line, head.next is also initialized with the default constructor of the node, because next pointer of head means head is of node type, and next pointer of head or next object of head, because head is having two things, data and next object of node type. So next is of node type, so that's why we can initialize it with the node default constructor or default constructor of the node class. Hence we are creating another node, or we have initialized it the next pointer of the head node. That's why we do not need this one. So as we have initialized the next pointer of the head, so now the next is not null anymore. That's why I have removed that null and I am creating a node. So now we are having heads next, and heads next is also having data is equal to null, and it is also having a next, but inside that next we are having null, because this is what the default value. If you will initialize these values, then only it would be initialized. So currently the heads next is having null. Now heads next, this is the head, and this is heads next, and this is next of heads next. So currently heads next is null, but due to this, because of this third line, a new node will be created, and that node will also have data is equal to null, and it will also have next as null, because we haven't done anything, because heads next is not having any next, it is having null in its next. So please try to understand, it is not a difficult thing, just try to understand based on this code. Okay, so we are having these things. This is, I want to name it that head.next. This is head.next, and this node is the head.next node.next. So this is what the basic visual representation of this code. Now what we have done is, let me read the problem statement again so that we will understand it properly. So fill in the blank to complete the code necessary to insert node X in between the last two nodes. So what, according to this, on the fourth line, an X node is created, and we need to insert this X node in between the last two nodes, between head.next and head.next. In between of this we need to insert the X node. So how to do that? So let me tell you a small way to do this. So first of all, just try to understand this thing. So for inserting X in middle of this head.next and head.next.next, we need to do something, and that is this: head dot next would be x dot next. Means this one is the next of this x. So let me create the x first, and x next will start pointing to the head dot next dot next. Try to understand this. And now we need to link this with this one. Currently this head dot next is pointing to the head dot next. In order to insert this x in between this last two nodes, we need to point this head dot next to x. So what we will do, we will point the next pointer of this head dot next to the x, and this linkage would be break. So like this we can insert the data in between of the last two nodes. So one line of code is already done to make the next pointer of x as head dot next, and now we need to write one last line of code here, that head dot next is equal to x. So what you had done is head dot next will start pointing to x, and x next will start pointing to head dot next. It is the previous thing, but now a new linkage has been created, and this is what we had done, and this is what the code that you need to write to insert the x node in between the last two nodes. So I hope this thing is clear. If you are having any problem related to this, then just comment below. I will try to get to you as soon as possible. Thank you.